Hello everybody, welcome back to another Woodworking Wisdom. Today we're looking at part 2 of our steam bending sessions. We're joined by Harry from Basingstoke. He's one of our staff members from the shop floor. So if you're ever in Basingstoke, go and visit Harry. He's going to know all about steam bending at the end of this session. But yeah, we're going through the more practical side of it today. So we're actually physically going to bend some ash. We've got some ash that we've prepared, we've cut it to length, and everything is kind of ready to go here. So yeah, Jason's going to have a little go with the steam bending as well.
I'm going to creep in now, push Ben over a little bit. Okay, so we've explained quite a lot in part 1 of this, our formers, our winch, the timber, all those little things. So as Ben said, this is more a practical session. We'll recap a little bit as we go through on certain things that are going to be, if you like, relevant, okay? On this, we put the timber in. Ooh, how long do you need to steam it? How long's a piece of wood? It's really tricky to give you a definite description. We have had problems which we looked at in part 1 where things don't bend easily, you get breakages, we get all those sort of, right? So don't want to do too much of that now. But these have been in here about 2 hours. So behind me in the box, you can't quite see it at the moment. Stuff I expected we can go to. We've got our box down on here. This is our steam box we looked at. The door's shut at the moment, so we'll open that in a second, get a little bit of steam coming up on there. So we get the timber out there. That's been on for about 2 hours now. So we tend to try and say an hour for every inch of thickness, but the timber we've got a little bit drier, so we want to allow a little bit more, okay? So that's in there. Our winch on the bench we've got set up. We've explained that in the previous thing. We had real issues when we first ever started doing this as a bending session. We've got some pictures somewhere there of how we struggled, okay? So quite a fun one there that we actually had. You can see this now. We didn't have a winch. Colwyn used to use his elbows. Look at that elbow coming up, left arm. He's trying to, that's a bit of a, okay, used to really try and push it out of the way. The other picture we've got is really nice. It shows the wooden handles. So the wooden straps or handles there, we had bandsaw blade on the back. Again, we've discussed that already. So that's allowed us to pull it round physically. It was quite hard work. So much nicer to do and pull it round with a winch gives us a lot more control. We had a little bit of a play and a practice run yesterday to make sure things are going to bend more. Harry was fantastic on the winch, okay? He can come back and be my winch man anytime. It's such a right attitude of just, all right, nice and slow. It's not a race. We've got all the time of the world, all right? Right. So, okay. So we're going to get a former in. We've said about the former before. Our former is laminated out of plywood. We glue and screw them together, drill the holes in after. That's lots of holes to get lots of G-clamps in. Everything locates over our winch. So it drops in over. You can see the cutout underneath the board. It goes in, locates nicely. Oh, let's just do this up. Secure it in the vise. Now the idea of our steam bending we tend to do, we used to make quite a lot of Windsor chairs. Our strips we've looked at before, but these are stainless steel. We did a double layer because stainless is more brittle, and if one breaks it's very unlikely that both will break at the same time. We used to use old bandsaw blade, so you can have that. On the end of our starter cord cable we found the best thing. It doesn't tend to break, doesn't fray. Got some really good knots on there, so that's strapped on. Right, I'm going to go to the box. So glasses on, a glove. The glove's really important, okay? So if I don't have the glove, you can't get anything in and out. Idea with this is when we open is not to let too much steam out. Put it back in. I have a centre line on our piece of wood. I have a direction of which way it needs to go in. Going to lift that into place. As we've already said, you can never have enough G-clamps. Really important to have lots of clamps for this. Get it in place, pinned in there. Just going to pull the string back over, pin it on. That was close, look. Okay. So we're going to start to wind this up nice and gently, okay? Heat wise, how hot do these get? I can hold it and get it. So it is a little bit warm. So Harry's going to winch that in nice and slowly. The idea of this is the fibres will slide over one another. But even with doing the winch, I can use hand pressure a little bit. Can't quite see me there. Ben will push his in as well. Look, he's got left arm in. All right, I'm just going to bring this down a bit further. Grab a couple more clamps.
That's it, nice and slow on that one, Harry. Well done, thanks.
Okay. Hopefully things will go all right. We never know though. So
Just an important thing to remember, that all our strings aren't hooking under the boards, that they're sitting properly on these blocks here and here. We don't want to get halfway through and find we've got a tangle or it's pulling the wrong way or twisting.
Just going back through, retightening clamps. Catch up with the G-clamp. Harry's pulling in nicely there. Using my left arm again just to push things round. Nice and slow. Just pull it up. I pull the clamp round.
That's perfect. Well done, Harry.
Just trying to see where we were. Camera shot there.
So just
Coming back round, checking a few of the clamps. It's coming together quite nicely, this one.
It's looking good, isn't it?
So again, last clamp, just got to lift up the handle on the board, check it clears.
Great.
Just gently pulling in.
So how many G clamps we've got here, Jace? We've got 4, we've got 7 G clamps on the go. And this is a bit of a team thing, wouldn't you say? You need more than one person to...
It'd be nice to have more than one person. Me and Ben have managed to do this by ourselves with 2 of us. But it's hard work, it's a struggle. Harry's standing here patiently now with SASH clamp we're just going to put across the top. So you can do that one up. Okay. Just finger tight, Harry, for a second. That's good. Right, we need a little bit of slack on your winch now. Just tiny bit. Now, just going to slacken off some of the G-clamps slightly. And I mean, literally, we're taking them just so the handle goes loose. We want to make sure this is down on the bench board. Now, Harry slackened off the strap. We're going to pull the wooden blocks on the end of the handle off of. Now, we found if we don't, it cracks the workpiece a little bit. As much as I've got, large dead blow hammer, trying to be nice and light. Tap this down on our board. So we get it flat. So the board becomes our reference points to hold things flat. The SASH clamp can go back up, just to pin it in place. The 2 outside clamp, then I think we'll retighten that one up. Middle one still tight, but I'm just going to back it back, release a little bit of pressure and then do it back up. At the moment this looks really good. It's difficult to show you this on the camera, but no cracking or anything around the edge. Now occasionally we get that of an issue. So in here, I'm going to take a few of the clamps off now. If we don't take the clamps off, we found we compress the fibres too much. It distorts the workpiece when we take it out. So in other words, we compress it too much and you get a different thickness. Yeah, go on Ben, we'll lose that.
Lose that one?
Yeah.
So it can create flat spots if you put too much pressure on, because this wood's still pliable, it's still got a bit of give, and if we over tighten those clamps too much, it's going to crush it.
Now, I think we'll do another run. Let's see what we get. So we'll reset our strap. Now the winch thing's fantastic. Put the board back in. Former, slightly nicer former. There's slightly bigger holes. Can't quite see there. We're just on here. All right. So the holes in here are a little bit bigger, so we can get the clamps in easier. Not quite as deep, which is good. So fits in nicely. We need our strap again. So most of you, if you're doing this, I don't know how much steam bending you're going to do. So we almost had to batch run this when we did the chair course with 6 students. So we need enough to do all of those. Got our strap now. I'm just evaluating where we are, where things are. First one. All right, let's get a bit of wood out here.
So all these moulds interchangeable, so we can do runs of multiple bends in one go.
Oh, that's hot.
They
That's
do feel
quite
hot
warm,
today.
that one. Harry's just taking up the strain on there, that's good. So once again, just start to put this in. My ultimate thing, but would make Harry redundant, would be an electric winch with a remote on it. Alright. But I think he does a good job down here, so we're going to keep quiet. They're never going to go to the budget of an electric winch for this. Sorry, Ben, I haven't got his tighten underneath. Look.
Okay. And quite an unpredictable thing, steam bending. You think it's quite hard to tell if something's going to go, or if your piece of wood, you know, even pieces of timber that we cut from the same plank.
Ooh, makes a bit more noise, this one, Harry. How's that feel? Light?
Yeah.
That's quite an amazing thing. Ben, when we used to do quite a few of the courses, would start off and do the first one. So Ben would take the responsibility of doing the winch. If it was a responsible task, most people try and do this too quick if it will move too easily. Got to be nice and slow. So you get a good feel of how things are pulling in just off that winch, how much pressure there is, how easy it is just to pull in.
Yeah, it kind of gives you a bit of feedback. And you can feel it. If it cracks, you can feel it go right the way down those lines. And yeah, so you do get a bit of feedback on the winch.
Just pulling up those last bits, putting it right in. The formers, when we discussed them in the first session, they taper in towards the middle a little bit because the wood will spring back when we take it back out. However, we need just a little bit of slack again, but we'll have your SASH clamp as well before you do it. Go on. Yeah, fight for room down that end there with the G clamps and stuff, but we'll get it in there. Go on. Right. Right, so then Harry's going to take a little bit of pressure off on the winch to allow release the pressure on here, make sure we're not getting any cracking. Okay, slacken off our G clamp just a little bit there. You can do a little bit on your SASH clamp, just half turn, and we'll take a little bit back on the G clamps here. I'm going to tap this down. Not a lot of movement yet. Let's have a look. I need a bit on there.
So we're just backing
Gently
off
coming back.
a couple of those clamps to give us a bit of wiggle with the board, so it's not gripping too tight, and we can knock that down onto that baseboard.
You do your SASH clamp, just pinch that up again, just tight on there. Great. Yeah, I think then we can lose a lot more clamps again on this. That's good. Okay,
how big are these again, Jay? Is it about 1.25 inches? Is it?
These are, I think, 38mm square.
Yep.
All right. So again, thinking back to the first session, we machined these up so they are nice and square. When we first started, we used to just rough saw these out. Now the problem with rough sawing them out, it creates a lot of work to clean up later. So if you do a bit more prep, as much as the steam bending will alter the shape very slightly, it will tilt it a little bit, compress the fibres. If you've got rid of all that saw material, as you know from when we go, so much less time. So it's worth doing a lot of prep before you even put it in the steam box.
Yeah.
Traditionally now they probably would have been split and riven. We'll look at that a little bit. Got to come out. In fact, we put it away a bit. Now at the moment we've done 2 seat bows. Shall we be brave? Let's do one last one. Ben, just hold that for me. Let's see if we can show you. Ben's got seat bow. I've got arm bow. Seat bow's much tighter. Sorry, arm bow. Right, top bow. Much tighter curve. This is slightly easier as a shape to do because it's not such a tight curve. I'm feeling brave. I think we'll try and do top bow, see what we get.
Yeah, but should we have a look on the chair to see what that corresponds to? Harry, would you be able to pop the chair up on the bench there?
So Harry's going to look on the chair. I'll have that in a minute then. I don't know if you're going to see it on there. Have a look.
Okay. So there's our top bow. Let me just bring that down a touch. So there's our top bow here. You can see that constant curve coming right the way round. And actually if I drop that forward, you can see we've got a slight flat on the back of the arm bow, or the seat bow. Okay, so that's the difference between the two moulds. That's the two different shapes we're getting from that. Thanks, Harry. Just chuck that one back there, thank you.
Another thing when we started on those, and we've got one chair still learn about where the arm bow and the seat bow were different lumps. Sorry, I'm going to creep round and getting sort of wiped, right? So the arm bow and the seat bow were actually different lumps, different bits of wood. It made it confusing when you go to the box. You've got to get the right piece of wood out to go in the right former. So we ended up just using one lump. So if you're going to make something like a Windsor chair with two components, could you make it the same size? That means you machine your wood up all the same, you cut them all the same, done. Made it so much easier. We also found by making the back bow slightly higher, made it easier to put the chair together. Less compression, less tension with it. That made a big difference. Okay, top bow then. How brave are we feeling? Same strap, as we've just said, these are all the same size. Again, that was the thing when we started, you had to find the right strap for the right piece of wood. Yeah. So much easier now. Okay, Stephen's still putting a lot of steam in at the back here. That's hot. Get the right way around, that's going to go in there. That relates to the taper that we explained on the first issue. There's a taper cut on the end of these. Reach for a clamp, okay. Pin it in place. We have a centre line drawer on the back of our strap as well. That helps me get it central. Just pulling things about a little bit, move the van a bit. Okay.
Well done, Harry.
Harry's going to take up his tension. We're going to grab a couple of clamps. Ben can have another long one there. Harry's going to start on there. Now, I can't understand why you wanted to do this in the middle of summer, Ben.
This is chair making time for all you bodgers out there.
That's going well, isn't it, Harry? That's bending easily, that one. I can see this almost wants to go around there. Now, I'm a bit surprised with these because the bits of wood we've had here, we've had wrapped in plastic for probably 2.5, 3 years. So these were wrapped in plastic just before we went into lockdown. It's kept a bit of moisture in them. They haven't gone mouldy, which I thought they would have, but they are bending. So quite amazing that they will go round.
Because the general thought is it should be green wood. Right?
Ideally, it would be nice and green, like we said. You know, first session wet wood will bend easier. But you can't always get what you would. Wood doesn't grow on trees, you know. I mean,
That's right.
Can't always have what you want when you need it. Wrong time of year can play a massive part in that. If you go springtime, fantastic to get them nice wet wood. We're now heading into autumn soon where things will be dropping sap wise. Going to make it harder to bend again. Just bring that up. Harry stood here patiently again with.
He's ready with the.
Ben's playing with a.
I'm just pulling out a couple of those little flares because I found last time when they compress in on the inside face.
I've got a bit of issue my side, but we're going to get it in a second when Harry gets that clamp on. I've got a bit of twist on the actual arm coming down through, pulling it over a bit diagonal. Well, if it gets the SASH clamp on, we can use the pressure of that to pull at the bottom of that metal strap. All right, hang on, Harry. Let's bring this in a bit. Okay, go on, mate. Good. Pull it out, go on. And I can get that G clamp down a bit better. That's good. That's pulled it back into square. This one actually is nicely sat on the baseboard already, so we don't need that mallet, which is good. I hate you having to use the mallet thing and bang these down because we have had the scenario you split them coming up through. Again, we're just going to slack off a little bit on the clamps. Harry can slacken off. And there, okay. Now logically, the next question some of you are going to say, and I'm just going to reach and try and grab it. Got a couple here. Ben, you can have that a second. I need to grab the other part, which is right over here. You can explain that. What have we done with that?
So this is just a bit of high tensile wire, and it's really just so the bow doesn't kind of relax and spread back out. But you could use a bit of string, a bit of wrap we've used before. But this is really just so it doesn't kind of relax back outwards. We want to keep that shape. So Jason's bent these wires. But yeah, I'm sure they could use a coat hanger or something like that.
You could use a coat hanger. This was high tensile fencing wire. So really good for that. So we make them into little hooks we can hang on the end. The bows that Ben's got hold of, we bent yesterday. All right, so test this, see how things are going to go. Quite amazing. Now, if we took them out today, without the strap and the hook on the end, it won't open back up. Likewise, if it's pulled in too much when you go to fit it on your chair or whatever, you can actually put it back into warm water and it will expand out again. Go careful with that because you've got to get it to where you want. That's quite eerie because you put it in, suddenly it will start to open up. Quite amazing. And we've had a few people where, but all right, so, but your metal hook's really good, will hold it together. Things don't always go as planned. I think we can probably see it. Now I'm probably going to have to bang these off, look. Now this is one we took out this morning from the same batch yesterday. If I get the clamps off. Why have we got clamps on here? So where are we, Steph? Let's just have a look on. Alright. I think you can see the marks on here. Alright. Looks shinier. What's that? Super glue. Alright. So I don't know, Harry, you could probably even bring it up in there. Look at that. Look, alright. Now you can see the grain direction on here a little bit more. Hooks out the side a bit. Flares up. So up through here, these wanted to peel off. So we used some thin super glue. So Ben's just got the glue for me, look, okay. So we said about the glues the other week, we did a thing. I don't know how did they manage 200 years ago without thin super glue for this? I've got no idea, because beautiful thing with this is if the timber flares, we can pour it into there if you like, let it run down into the crack, then do the clamp up, leave it to dry. And it'll hold it back down quite nicely. Again, we've got to go careful when we clean it up, look at grain directions, cabinet scrapers, spoke shapes, clean all that up, and make sure we don't flick the fibres up. If we do, again, get in with the super glue. So quite a lot of work. That's quite a useful tool, the bottle of super glue for these. Whoops, hitting the camera tripod. Right, okay.
One thing I wanted to mention about the super glue, sorry, we're shuffling along. If you're putting it on a hot bend, and obviously this reacts with moisture, super glue, that's how it kind of goes off. So be really careful because it can go off quite quickly, especially if you're holding the piece. It's quite easy to get yourself stuck to it. But the fumes coming off of it, just be really careful. A well-ventilated area, you're likely to be in that sort of area doing this type of work anyway. But just keep in mind if you're using a lot of it and you're doing maybe 4 or 5 bends, I guess it's like a smoke comes off it,
As a vapour.
like a vapour, yeah.
As a vapour. Now, we talked about this when we looked at the glues the other week as a video. Super glue's fantastic. And Ben, you've hit on a few things there because, I mean, we've done it over the years and we went, hold this, you pull the glue in. Ben, I can't get it off now. All right? Now, it can be a little bit embarrassing, so put it in the vise. Set it up, set your angle so your glue will run into. So this one actually deliberately tilted so it'll run down into where those peels or the flares are. Tighten up. I prefer we use the activator the other week, that will turn it more white. That's not a good thing. I know, and actually the wet wood turns it yellow. We've seen that in the past, we've got lots of yellow. So it's nicer not to use the activator, it's nicer just to compress this, let it dry naturally. But as Ben said, you get too much glue on there, you're going to get lots of vapour come off, and it doesn't half stink in your eyes, all right? It really does, you know. Worst thing I've ever had that with is the respirator hoods and the super glue, because you get the vapour inside the hood. Oh, talk about make your eyes stream. All right, so go careful with the super glue. It's a great tool, but one of those things. Likewise, you've seen the approach of where we've gone to the steam box. It's hot in there, so don't go leaning over the top of it. You've got to wear a glove to get the piece of wood out. All those little things play a part in this. All right, even the material will be quite warm when you get it out. So you kind of soon we keep our hands moving around. It's not hot that you're going to burn on the aspect once you've got it to here, but putting your hand in the box, wow. I mean, one of the things we wish we'd done with this one, we did do for a show a few years ago, we put an egg in there for the same period of time. We actually put 6 eggs at a show. and we boiled them, if you like, or steamed them, I suppose, however you want to phrase that. It's quite amazing when we got to the steam bending session. The one question we had from one of the guys in the audience was, what did the eggs do? And what did the eggs do, Ben?
Tastes nice.
Taste nice, yes, okay. It was a bit embarrassing on the fact he actually thought that the eggs were going to change the molecule structure of the material to help it bend. No, we just thought we'd have a late breakfast. All right, so, anything else you want to add? Harry, you've done a bit of steam bending at college and stuff.
I haven't yet. That's the degree course at Rugby.
Is it? Fantastic.
Yeah,
We have to, this will give you a, so maybe make a Windsor Chair then. We'll give you a scope on there. We've had actually a comment lately about a guy wanting to, I still think it's a good session. We could do that. Be interesting to get your feedback on that. Do you want to see us build a Windsor Chair? It's going to take, I don't know, how many weeks, Ben? 7 or 8?
Yeah, in
Probably
our
7 or 8
videos.
different weeks of different things. So things like the steam bending, the shaping the seats, the legs, the whole thing. But yeah, we could do that. Be interesting to know if you're up for that. But it's going to be a long period of time over different weeks. But you can make your own chair. All right. So, what do you reckon? Done?
All good, yeah.
All right then. You can do it.
That's it. So thanks again for joining us for another Woodworking Wisdom. We'll see you all again soon. Bye-bye.